right. I'd like to call the January 25th, 2022 meeting to order. Rebecca, will you call the roll?
Woodard,
Here.
Avila,
Here.
Ballard, Chido, Davis,
Here.
Banter,
Here.
Lohmeyer,
Here.
Millis, Potter,
Here.
Hugh, Thompson, Vilmain.
We have a quorum. We will really quickly do approval of the agenda, but we do have one amendment that we'd like to add after Ben's report, or as part of Ben's report, rather. We'll do a budget exercise that he'll explain when we get to that point, so I would like to add that to our agenda for tonight. If I could get a motion.
I'll move the agenda as amended.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, and with that, we are going to get started with the best part of tonight's agenda. The highlight of the year is the volunteer awards, and so I'm going to also note that we are recording this for sharing purposes after the meeting, so just note that this portion of the meeting will be recorded. And Ben, I'm going to turn it to you next.
Chair Woodard, members of the Des Moines Park and Recreation Board, Ben Page, Parks and Recreation Director. A lot of you have been on the board for quite some time, so you know how fun tonight really will be. And it probably is oversaid when we talk about volunteers, how critically important they are to our operation. And it's probably been oversaid about how the pandemic has affected just about everything that everybody does, including the city, not just this department, but all departments. And so, as you can imagine, over the last year, our volunteer team has really delivered above and beyond service. In the past, they were able to pull off lots of large events. Now we've asked them to pull off 3 times as many smaller events to be safe with the pandemic. And you're going to see tonight that the wonderful people that live in this community, that work in this community, have once again delivered that to us. And just think throughout tonight's presentation, what would our city park system look like? How would our youth recreation programs look like if we did not have these wonderful volunteers? So without further ado, I also want to point out our volunteer supervisor is under the weather tonight, Callie Lealcourt. And she is the power behind all of this. Her passion is endless, and I know it's just absolutely crushing her not to be here tonight. So we're videoing this for her, and also her team is amazing. There are 3 people on that team. Rachel Haydenfeld is going to give you the presentation shortly. I also want to thank our city council for being here tonight. You can see them all, their support is tremendous. They're here tonight to support the program. Just this past Monday, yesterday, we were able to have a one-on-one session with the city council about what you've already seen, the Adopt a Park and Trail program that took off so successfully. We've had to cap that already too, again, because of wonderful volunteers in this community. So they're here tonight to help us celebrate all the wonderful volunteers. It doesn't look the same as the years past because we have to be smart with the pandemic. So what we'll do tonight is we'll read a group, we'll take a picture with the group and the council, and then we'll let the next group come in as that group leaves. So we've got little gift bags for them with goodies on the way out. So I'm sorry you don't get to have the same interactions and celebrations with this all in one room. But next year, when the pandemic's gone, we'll have more fun. So without further ado, I do want to have Rachel come up, who's done an awesome job, especially when she was told yesterday that she gets to give this presentation. So all yours, Rachel.
Thank you, Director Page. Good evening, Mayor County, City Manager Sanders, council members, Chair Woodard, members of the Parks and Recreation Board. I'm Rachel Hainfield, Field Coordinator. Thank you all for your ongoing support and for joining us this evening for our 2021 Volunteer Awards. This presentation, as Ben mentioned, was supposed to be presented by my supervisor, Callie Lealcourt-Wright. Unfortunately, COVID found its way into her bubble, so she passes along her sincerest apologies this evening, and she wanted me to share these words in this presentation with you. Here is what she shared. Dear Mayor, City Manager Sanders, council members, Chair Woodard, Parks and Recreation Board, friends, and honorees. It's been 2 years since I last presented the Volunteer Awards ceremony in person. I would be lying if I didn't say, as I prepared for this day, I was a bundle of emotions, a mixture of excitement, apprehension, and maybe a little bit of fear, but definitely lots and lots of gratitude. Gratitude for every one of our volunteers, including each and every one of you. I'm sorry I can't be there in person, but thank you for all of your incredible support for our growing program. Amanda Gorman, our nation's first youth poet laureate, wrote these words for the inauguration this year, but they ring true for what we are experiencing both as a nation and here in our local community. These past couple of years have seemed dark, but thanks to the volunteers we honor here tonight and the thousands more who stepped up to bring us hope. Thank you for being the light in our community. We will forever be grateful. Putting together this awards program reminded me of just how strong we are, how resilient we've become, and how connected we can be. Where we've come from this past year and what we are collectively going through makes tonight even more amazing. At the beginning of the pandemic, our volunteer program paused briefly, but we were able to quickly figure out how to bring back our volunteer support, and this year that only continued to grow. The hours donated and value of volunteer service has risen more than 50% this year. And making a comeback has been fun, something we've all needed. We've adapted and we've celebrated. We talked and we laughed and we worked. And we saw coworkers find ways to be together safely again for the first time in 18 months. We saw families and friends giving back together, 2,872 of them to be exact. Our volunteers donated more than 21,000 hours of service, valued at more than $607,000. And we are thankful for each and every one of them and each and every one of you. And before Rachel goes on with this evening's awards, I want to give a huge heartfelt thank you to my team. I am incredibly blessed to work in a fun, supportive group that has helped me get through these past couple of years and tonight. So, special thank you to Jordan Hildreth, Rachel Hainfield, my supervisor, Assistant Director Jenny Richmond, and our newest teammate, Mallory Makar. Again, I'm so sorry I am unable to be there this evening, but again, thank each and every volunteer that has supported us. Congratulations to tonight's honorees. Mid-American Energy Company encourages employee volunteerism and community involvement because they know vibrant, growing communities benefit everyone. They have more than 3,400 employees across Iowa, Illinois, Nebraska, and South Dakota ready to give time. For years, they have worked alongside our staff, touching parks all throughout Des Moines: Ewing, McRae, McHenry, Riverview, Grays Lake, Glendale Cemetery, the list goes on. During the pandemic, they found a way to bring their team together to give back in multiple ways. This year, their Green Team Committee wanted to engage employees in volunteer projects focused on environmental respect, recycling, and sustainability. They helped with 2 upcycle events, cutting and removing invasive brush, and helped remove willows along the Riverview Park shoreline, helping encourage native vegetation, improving our water quality, and providing better habitat. At McRae Park, they helped plant nearly 240 native prairie plants, adding pollinator habitat and improving plant diversity. In the fall, they worked together to hand harvest a variety of prairie seed species, helping us to add diversity to our current plantings and our future mixes. Mid-American volunteers enjoy learning and are excited to help wherever they are needed. They have been a pleasure to work with. For their passion for our parks, please join us in honoring Mid-American Energy as our 2021 Corporate Volunteer Group of the Year.
We're all going to take a picture in front of that little desk up there. So come on up and spread out, all the council, our Mid-American friends. Okay, let's get, Catherine, you want to go over here, let's get you in the middle and the council balance on the side. This is our biggest group, so we'll have to kind of pack it in a little bit here. Everybody get in on the game. Yes. This might be a tough issue. All right, she's going to take a 2 or 3 quick shots. smile on the mask.
Yep, thank you.
Thank you.
So we're going to go from a really big crowd to not just Ganesh, but only Ganesh.
Cemetery Supervisor Ganesh Ganpat supports many generations from Eagle Scouts to retirees, engaging them in protecting our historical and cultural resources. He partners local donations with volunteer support, demonstrates leadership, and takes initiative with many projects. He can often be found at events welcoming volunteers, reviewing safety practices, and giving directions. Even though he spends countless hours planning and preparing for his volunteers, he is always bringing his personal touch to each event, and he likes to think his best comedy. Ganesh also leads a volunteer team that organizes our annual Wreaths Across America event. This year, that culminated in 80 volunteers laying more than 1,000 wreaths to honor our veterans. After successfully finding grant funds and private dollars to support Woodland Cemetery restoration, he led a month-long effort in September of 154 volunteers who gently cleaned these historical monuments. He continues to support monthly volunteers on his cemetery advisory committee, the Adopt a Block program, and other various maintenance activities. Since joining our team, Ganesh Ganpat has engaged more than 3,400 volunteers and brought in more than $445,000 worth of in-kind volunteer service. For fostering a culture of volunteer engagement, outstanding leader or volunteer organization and leadership, please join me in honoring Ganesh Ganpat as our 2021 Volunteer Supervisor of the Year.
All right. All right, let's get it all back here. Let's squeeze this in a little bit. Yeah. Okay. There we go. Perfect.
All right, good.
Vicki Facto, a lifelong resident of Des Moines, acquired her love for city parks and trails in the 1970s when her mother was president of the Des Moines Parks Board. She spends a considerable amount of time visiting parks and trails and enjoys the connectivity of our green spaces in central Iowa. When traveling, Vicki enjoys visiting city parks and trails and bringing her enthusiasm and ideas back to the city of Des Moines. Her interest in affordable housing and quality of life for all Central Iowans is what drives her passion for the need for access to public parks for all citizens. Vicki has served on the Parks and Recreation Board for 9 years, including on the Trails and Greenway Subcommittee and Urban Conservation Subcommittee, where she currently serves as chair. In addition, she has served on the Fishing Ad Hoc Committee. Vicki also served on the fundraising committee for the Save the Jackson 5th Street Bridge project. Because of all the amazing work she has done, it's no surprise to us. She recently was honored within Bankers Trust for her work in our community. Tonight, we also recognize her volunteer leadership, dedication, and ongoing service to our organization. Please join me as we honor Vicki Facto with a 2021 Special Volunteer Award. Unfortunately, Vicki is unable to be in attendance tonight, but wishes she could and sends her gratitude. Let's congratulate her.
With Vicki not being able to be here tonight, she sent a quick note that she'd like us to read to all of you, just expressing her gratitude. Madam Chair, board members, and most dedicated staff of Des Moines Parks and Recreation, it has been my sincere pleasure serving on the Des Moines Parks and Recreation Board this 10 years with you and beside you. You have created the most wonderful spaces and city programs. Your dedication, creativity, collaboration, commitment to the equity and diversity of programs and parks for our city are second to none. I want to thank you for the honor of being selected for a special volunteer award. I have enjoyed the wonderful people I've met through my work with the Parks and Recreation Department, will continue to volunteer, and hope you will call me for assistance whenever needed. Many of you know my mother, Marion Huck, served on the Des Moines Parks and Recreation Board from 1974 to 1987. She brought me along for ribbon cuttings, trail cleanup, the Botanical Center, and Blank Park Zoo, all gems we continue to enjoy to this day. She instilled the importance of volunteering in me and was the inspiration for my application to serve on this board. I recommend people give of their time and talents to the Parks and Recreation Department, encourage all to connect and use these fabulous parks, trails, and programs throughout Des Moines. Best regards, Vicki Facto.
Finding volunteer coaches for our youth sports programs is not always an easy task. The job of a volunteer coach can be extremely difficult. Even so, every once in a while, we are lucky enough to find someone who truly has a gift for coaching young children. Brooke was an incredible flag football coach this year. Time and time again, she went out of her way to ensure the kids were having an amazing time while playing. Multiple staff members mentioned the incredible spirit she brought to the team. She practiced with kids, helped them run the ball, gave them high fives after every play, and guided them through the whole game. She even went out of her way to help the kids on the other team. The kids were lucky to have Brooke as a coach. For her outstanding coaching, providing positive learning experiences to the youth in Des Moines, please join me as we honor Brooke Hockett as the 2021 Volunteer Coach of the Year.
Now, George Davis behind you is a Hall of Fame coach, but he wants to challenge you to a coach off. Thank you. Well, let's have you step back just a little bit so we can get us all kind of picture.
Eric Lohmeyer embodies the true spirit of generosity. His selflessness, commitment, and willingness to assist in any situation, despite his busy schedule, is simply remarkable. Some might say it is a family business for the Lohmeyers when dedicating their time to volunteer with Des Moines Parks and Recreation. Eric, by his own design, is the friend that is quietly behind the scenes. He plays a key role in matching his professional and personal network with both the department and Friends of Des Moines Parks initiatives. Eric donates both his time and financial support throughout the year, helping at the golf outing, bike rides, hosting booths, and more. He shares his love for the outdoors by helping be a door opener for both the Friends of Des Moines Parks and Des Moines Parks and Recreation. He's the first to jump at any opportunity to support us, whether it's subsidizing the growth of our friends or buying the first memorial tree for our parks. Eric's leadership has helped build donor relationships, resulting in a $100,000 pledge for soccer scholarships. For more than a decade, Eric has continued to be a resident problem solver, strategist, sounding board, and friend. For his advocacy, please help me in honoring Eric Lohmeyer as our 2021 Friend of the Year.
Sarah, come on down. For those of you who don't know, Eric is married to Sarah, so we did a deep dive. And he's not following full, he's volunteering, so. Yeah, have the family in the middle. Sure, of course.
Central Iowa Trails Association, a 501c3, was formed in 1993 and has been helping our department maintain trails in an official capacity since 2013. They have donated their time, money, and expertise to help construct and maintain approximately 20 miles of single-track trails in Des Moines' Greenwood, Ashworth, and Ewing parks. These trails wind through wooded areas, by ponds and streams, and up and down hills. They are loved by thousands of mountain bicyclists, hikers, bird watchers, runners, and others needing to get away from urban life and wanting to immerse themselves in nature. CETA helps make Des Moines and Central Iowa a great place to live by bringing people closer together, nurturing a respect for the environment, and providing a fun way to lead healthier lives. Please join me as we honor the Central Iowa Trails Association as the 2021 Volunteer Group of the Year.
And just in case you haven't ever heard it, people in Portland are envious of our soft trails within the city. That's because of these guys that have done it.
Locust Snow has volunteered with the Des Moines Parks and Recreation Department for only 3 years, but he has made a lasting impact on our community in that time. Locust is the president of Watchman Community, a 501c3 organization started in 2017 with a mission to watch over humanity by supporting, protecting, and preserving life. He is passionate about making our world a better place for everyone and protecting the environment. The Watchman Community Center offers free training for youth in self-defense and martial arts, provides tutoring services, and after-school programming. They even operate a new community garden, which helps them offer a food pantry and meals for families they serve. All of this built out of the love Locust has for the world around him. There's more. Locust also coordinates volunteers from the community center and neighborhood to maintain Prospect Park, nestled between their neighborhood and the river. Through the Adopt a Park program, and spurred by Locust's passion, a group of volunteer children and their families pick up litter at the park almost every week. This year, they have donated over 600 hours of service with a value of more than $17,400. Locust's optimism, creativity, and perseverance makes him a great community leader. For his dedicated service to improving our communities, please join me in honoring Locust Snow as our 2021 Volunteer of the Year. Unfortunately, Locust is also unable to attend this evening, but is very grateful for the honor. Mel Meredith's work with Des Moines Parks and Recreation spans decades. Her commitment, both through significant financial contributions and her volunteer service, is to be commended. For years, her generosity has rippled out like waves throughout all parts of our community. Mel serves as chair of Meredith Corporation Foundation, as president of the Edwin T. Meredith Foundation, on the Greater Des Moines Botanical Garden Board, on the Grays Lake Park and Meredith Trail Advisory Committee, as an advisory council member with Rebuilding Together Greater Des Moines, and is honorary trustee of the Science Center of Iowa, Des Moines Art Center, and Dowling Catholic High School Foundation Board. She and her family and their foundation's philanthropy can be seen throughout town in places like the Blank Park Zoo, the Greater Des Moines Botanical Garden, Drake University, Des Moines Art Center, and more. The Des Moines Register reported recently that they have been one of Iowa's largest sources of private philanthropy for decades. Their gifts have helped fund some of Des Moines' major nonprofits, including Boys and Girls Clubs and the United Way of Central Iowa. And the giving doesn't stop there. The corporation's foundation also gives $600,000 annually to employee-sponsored charities. Mary Sellers, president of the United Way of Central Iowa, was quoted as saying, "I don't know that we would be the community that we are without A, the Meredith family, and B, Meredith Corporation." And she's right. We too have been on the receiving end of Mel's kindness. We wouldn't be the same Parks and Recreation Department without her service. She and her team have donated and given thousands of hours, valued in the millions, to fix houses in our community and their nearby neighborhood parks. While we are only budgeted one playground improvement each year, Mel didn't feel like that was enough for the community. She has stepped up, and almost every year since 2003, Mel has supported park improvements or a new playground in one of our 76 parks. But wait, it doesn't stop there. She didn't just give the financial support. She and her team donated time to build the playground. And not just the playground. Through the years, they've planted trees, used their design expertise to build floral displays, used artists to create fun sports courts, build new bike racks, new benches, new trash cans, and more. Maybe you've walked along the Meredith Trail to enjoy a sunset at Grays Lake Park. Maybe you've climbed on the playground at Ashfield or went for a walk on Mother's Day in our Ewing Park Lilac Arboretum. Maybe your child stopped at Walnut Trace on the way to Capitol View Elementary or took a spin on the Stewart Square playground. Maybe you visited Pioneer Columbus Recreation Center for a basketball game. Or maybe you've taken your grandkids to cool off in the Columbus Park and play on the pirate ship. Maybe you've played on Burke Park's sand volleyball courts or Redhead Park's painted basketball courts. Maybe you would have taken a nature trail run or walked in the woodlands of Ashby Park or enjoyed the new slides at Union Park. Maybe you took a lunchtime run across Jackson Street Bridge or snapped prom photos in the Papa John Sculpture Park. If you have felt Mel Meredith's kindness too. And her kindness is contagious. Through her leadership, she encouraged and supported an entire culture of corporate and personal giving of money and of time, improving the quality of life in our community, compounding it to strengthen our local economy. Her kindness is the gift that keeps on giving. It was purposeful. It was widespread, and her service to this community will never be forgotten, and it will always be felt. We are incredibly grateful for her over 20 years of service and generosity. We cannot thank her enough. Will you please join me in celebrating and honoring Mel Meredith with our 2021 Lifetime Achievement Award. Mel is unfortunately not able to be here tonight, but she did send along her apologies and her gratitude for this honor. Mayor County, City Manager Sanders, council members, Chair Woodard, members of the Parks and Recreation Board, and honorees. Thank you for your continued support for our volunteer service to the city and department. Thank you to Director Page, all of our Parks and Recreation staff for their incredible help supporting our volunteers and welcoming them into all we do throughout the year. Without them, this wouldn't be possible. Once again, we thank our award winners, each of you, and all of our volunteers that have served our city. Thank you for being our light in the darkness. We will leave you tonight with highlights from the past. Sorry about that. And we look forward to an amazing 2022. Oops. Thank you.
All right, we'll take just a brief break. We'll again thank our council and our city manager for them. Yeah, if you'd like to say something?
First of all, I would love to congratulate our winners, but I also want to thank all of you because you are volunteers too, and thank you for the work you put in to make our park system what it is, and Director Page and his staff, so thank you.
We'll take a 2-minute break, so everybody kind of do what they need to do. We'll start meeting you guys out. Thank you again for coming. Just a reminder, we're still recording, and so we're going to get the meeting started back up. Everybody's being recorded right now. I just want people to know that.
I think we will get the meeting restarted here. First of all, thanks. Thank you, Ben. Thanks for making the presentations work tonight, reminding all of us how special this community is, and always a highlight, so thank you. Before we move back into the meeting, I do want to take just a minute and welcome Deb Chido, our newest board member. Welcome, Deb. And if you don't mind, just give us tell us a little bit about yourself and welcome.
Well, thank you.
I think if you make sure the green light is on, and there you
How's
go.
that? Can you hear me
Perfect.
now?
Yes.
Can you hear me now? Thank you. Thank you for letting me join this group. Bill Gray recommended me, and I got to know Bill pretty well. I live on 47th Street, longtime resident. We added on to our house because we couldn't find anything that we loved better in our neighborhood, so we've been there for 34 years now. Raised our daughter there, and my husband and I have been there. So pretty picky. That's how I got to know Bill, because I'm really picky about things. And so, and he just lived down the street, so it was perfect collision, right? So I could chat with him about a couple of things. I'm thinking, why am I here, right? Because, I mean, I've got lots of, opportunities and what have you, but I have wanted to serve on a board for the city. Very committed, obviously, because we're still here. And I bring an education lens. I was an administrator for 27 years, and so really have a passion and compassion for families and engaging families. And, we can always do better, right? So, and I don't know if you all remember a guy named, I just went blank. He would say, plus your pluses. So hopefully we're here to plus our pluses and continue to grow. And, it's getting more competitive out there, right? The Waukees and the Ankenees. And, oh my gosh, looking at this, it's like we need to be shouting at the rooftops. This is really good stuff. And so just Just glad to be here and be a part of this. And Ray Pugh, plus your pluses, if anybody knew Ray Pugh. So again, thanks for letting me be here and looking forward to being part of it. I have served on other boards before, United Way and also EFR, besides running a school, which took a lot of my time. And so I do work full-time, but still less than running a school these days. So I don't run a school anymore. I am an assistant director at a nonprofit. So
Thanks, Deb. Thanks for bringing your time and talents, and welcome again. So with that, I want to move into our minutes. So hopefully everyone had a chance to look over
I'll move.
minutes. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Our first item for board action tonight, we will, first, I'll give just a quick overview, and then if we have any public comment, and then we'll turn it to the board for any discussion. I don't know that we have anyone from the public here tonight at this point, but want to go over some subcommittee assignments. So if you've got that in your packet, we had an opening on the Urban Conservation Committee, and Barb, who's not here tonight, was excited and willing to join us. And so Barb will be, maybe we don't, sorry, thank you, it was stuck under another one. So Barb is joining the Urban Conservation Committee with Brooke, and then the rest of our board members who are currently committed and doing awesome work for those subcommittees are planning to stay on. I will mention, while we don't have to have a second member of the Citizen Cemetery Advisory Committee, I'm sure Joel would always appreciate another park board, so don't hesitate to reach out to myself, Jenny, Ben, if anyone is interested in joining that. But we will now have filled all of our spots, hopefully with this approval tonight. Ben, is there anything you want to mention?
And like the executive park board meetings, these committee meetings are open to the public. You can go to any meeting you want to, sit in and listen on them.
I don't see anyone here for public comment, so is there any questions, discussion from the board on the subcommittee appointments?
I'll move the subcommittee appointments as specified.
All in favor? Oh, excuse me. Please, actually, we're going to back up there. Rebecca, will you call the roll on this
Woodard?
one? Yes.
Avila?
Yes.
Ballard? Yes. Chido? Yes. Davis?
Yes.
Cantor?
Yes.
Lohmeyer?
Yes.
Millis? Yes. Potter? Yes. Pugh? Yes. Thompson? Yes. Bill Main?
And motion is passed. Now we can move on to the ayes and nays portion of the meeting for our receive and file. So I'd like to start with our social equity program presentation from Amar.
As Amar makes his way up, I'll say that if you haven't had a chance to watch the news, he's become a star over the last 24 hours. Even nationally, we're getting national attention. You'll hear pretty exciting news here. As you remember, it wasn't that long ago, I think it was 2017, when we unanimously adopted our comprehensive plan for the department that talked about everything that we do, from park improvements to how we serve the community from a recreation standpoint. One of our largest goals has always been to increase what we do at Evelyn K. Davis, which is that summer program, a safe summer opportunity for youth to do things. And what I want you to think about while Amar gives you the overview is, don't just think old traditional style summer camp where we're just going to play some games and paint some pictures. He's got such great vision for this program. It's going to be cultural. It's going to take on educational aspects, not just sports and games. As you'll see here, we think the only problem, nothing ever has a 100% success, will be how popular this is in these new neighborhoods, and how we'll have to try to figure out how to expand this in the future, because we already see it today when we go to Evelyn K. Davis program. People ask us, when will we get that same program in our neighborhood? So without further ado, Amar's going to talk about the tools and tool bag that he had to help select 4 additional parks and what a day will look like in this camp.
All right. Thank you, Chair Woodard, and thank you, Director Page. I would like to first start by saying what a pleasure it is to be here today. I was in front of Park Board just 3 years ago Chair Davis at the time, at the end of that presentation, he said he was excited to see how this program would grow and evolve. And here we are today with a program that has grown and evolved, and we're going to bring this to you. So without further ado, our 2022 Social Equity Recreation Programming. So we've taken an innovative approach to equity-based programming. We started with a mission to provide equitable recreation services throughout our city parks. We developed a no-fee programming model to provide access to quality recreation programs to some of our traditionally underserved communities of the city. Through this, we've seen participation grow by leaps and bounds. We've seen children from all areas come to Evelyn K. Davis Park to participate in our no-barrier programming. Evelyn K. Davis Park, located in Ward 1, has been programmed since 2010. What we've done, quality recreation programming at no cost. We've had spring, summer, and fall programs. We've developed partnerships with local nonprofits, neighborhood associations, and other organizations to enhance our events at the park. We've also attracted significant investment into the park, including our mini pitch court and our basketball court lights. So we feel like through our participation at Evelyn Davis Park, we're able to achieve so many different things that it would just make sense to expand this program to new locations. Let me go back real quick. As you can see, the picture with the map on it, it comes from the Trust for Public Land, and these are our park served numbers. They focus on the demographics within a 10-minute walk to our parks. One of the big features of our program is walkability. Most of our kids that come are able to access the park by walking. Oh, thank you. Most of the kids that come are able to access the park by walking. So as we look, we see that Evelyn K. Davis Park serves just over 2,000 children. And when we look at our household income, we see that just about 4 to 1 are low-income households. And once again, when we look at our race and ethnicity stats, we see that this is a highly minority-populated area. So these factors alone make it a prime location for our park programming, and this is what we looked for when we selected our other locations. So 2022 and beyond, we want to build off the success of our Evelyn K. Davis program and introduce this innovative style of recreation programming to 4 park sites, 3 new ones starting in 2022. So in our process, we had goals that we wanted to follow. We wanted to have at least 1 program per ward. We wanted them to be in need-based, lower income areas. We wanted to provide a safe space for our programs to operate, and also partnership possibilities to enhance our programming. The features we looked for, neighborhood access, we talked about walkability, sports courts, green space, anything that we can use for children to have quality programming. Of course, we need restroom facilities, storage, park amenities, and it helps to have a shelter either open or enclosed. Our 2022 program goals are to establish connections with neighborhood associations, community partners, build programming around existing amenities at the different locations. We're going to bring 4 dedicated staff members to each park during programming hours. We also want to connect with the Des Moines Police Department for patrol and support. The Des Moines Police Department were a huge part of our Evelyn K. Davis program, and we want to continue to work with them as we move our programming forward. We also want to make sure we're offering programs in the right areas for the people who really have that need. So without further ado, our first park is Martin Luther King Jr. Park, located in Ward 2. Our goals here are potential programming for all seasons. We do understand that there is a small programming gap in the wintertime. With the enclosed space at Martin Luther King Park as part of the amenities, we feel like we can provide all-season programming at Martin Luther King Park to close some of those gaps that we have, along with wonderful programs in the summer and spring. As we look at our park serve statistics for Martin Luther King Park, we see that we have just over 860 kids in the area within a 10-minute walk of the park. And we also have just about a 2 to 3 to 1 low to high income rate, which makes this park prime location for our programming. Our next location is Drake Park, located in Ward 3. At Drake Park, we want to build connections with existing stakeholders to enhance program offerings. We've already started a partnership with Drake University to try and to enhance what they do at Drake Park and even in our park system as a whole. And also with the The recent upgrades to Drake Park, we have a enclosed shelter, so we also can may be able to provide all-season programming to serve that area at all times. If you look at Drake Park, just over 1,200 children within a 10-minute walk of the park, and almost 4 to 1 when we start talking about low to high income ratio. Weeks Middle School Park, located in Ward 4. Our goals for Weeks Middle School Park are to continue to work with Des Moines Public Schools to build off of our unique program offerings that include the use of facilities and amenities at Weeks Middle School. We also want to use our school connections to grow and promote all of our programs. We have the Youth Recreational Scholarship Program to offer and many other youth sports and other things available for our kids to participate in that we can cross-promote here at Weeks Middle School Park. So when we look at our statistics from Weeks Middle School Park, we see something interesting. Once again, we have just over 1,000 children within a 10-minute walk. Once again, we have almost a 2 to 1 low to high income household ratio, household income ratio. But what we see differently here is when we look at our race and ethnicity stats, we don't see overwhelmingly minority populated area. We see, so it just lets us know that we are looking at this strictly from an equity-based, not a racial base, not an ethnic makeup, strictly equity. We want to identify the areas of need, no matter what the ethnic makeup is, and go in there with our programming. So it's one of the key things that we talk about when we talk about Weeks Middle School Park. And for Prospect Park is our last location. Now, due to the Iowa Confluence Water Trails construction, this specific program will be offered in 2023. However, we are very excited about the prospects of Prospect Park. Our goals here in 2023 would be to establish a programming presence, increase activity during the daytime and early evening hours to decrease some of the nefarious activity that goes on there, enhance park ownership. We want to make sure that that the people who are going to Prospect Park, that we put programs in there so people have park ownership. People want to see that park beautiful. People want to see that park thrive. So we feel like with our programming in Prospect Park, we can achieve some of these goals. Prospect Park also has one of the largest draws of any park in the city. As we start looking at our park serve numbers, we see that just over 2,600 children live within a 10-minute walk of Prospect Park. And when we start looking at our household income statistics, we see that an overwhelming majority of those households are low-income households. And also we see a very good mix of ethnic backgrounds in this area. So we can do a lot of good at Prospect Park, and we're really excited about bringing Prospect Park into the fold for 2023. And here you see a map of our 5 locations that we have throughout the city. Just visually we can see where our programs are located and the opportunity that we have to expand to further locations. Now, this is the fun stuff. The sample day, a day in the life of a camper that comes to our program. As you can see, there are 3 meal times provided. We partner with CISS to provide meals for our children. This past summer, we provided over 1,800 meals for the kids that came through our park in our program. The kids got breakfast when they got there, they got a healthy lunch, and they also got a snack and dinner to take home with them. We provide arts and crafts, sports skill camps, games. We do field trips, cultural activities. We have special guests. We also do a free swim lesson. Every kid that comes to our program this summer will have the opportunity to take a free swim lesson. We partner with other entities. Just for 2022, our programs are all going to go into Jester Park Nature Center to partner with our environmental education program to do programs at Jester Park. So this is an all-encompassing program. Just like Ben said earlier, we're not just showing up to play some games, draw some pictures, and send them home. We do educational activities with the Des Moines Public Library. We try and partner with many different organizations and entities to provide the best and highest quality recreation programs. Just on our research, a program like this would cost between $80 and $250 a week in other locations. And we're providing that to our families, to our low-income families, the families of our city, for free, which is, to me, one of the biggest gets that we have out of this program. Also, one other thing I want to touch on is we've done a lot of research on the program. We've done a lot of research for other cities and other recreation department offerings. We have not seen a program like this anywhere in the country, which lets us know that we are on the forefront of equity-based programming. We are one of the leaders in the equity-based programming in the country by launching this year. I just want to talk about our budget and staffing. As you can see, our budget is just over $550,000. What that includes is Parks and Recreation Supervisor, myself. We have 20 positions available with this program. 5 of those positions are 7-month positions that take us from April to October. The pay rate on those positions is $16 an hour. And we have 15 recreation specialist positions, which is a 4-month position, May to August. And the pay rate on that position is $14 an hour. So we have the ability to have those positions making 40 hours, getting 40 hours per week from April to October and May to August, respectively. All right, so I know that was a lot of information. Does anybody have any questions that we may be able to answer? I see the hands going up, so.
Well,
First of all, I wanted to thank you for your service to the city. And I had a couple questions about the stuff you talked about, Jester Park. I think that's fantastic. Do you take the kids out there and bring them back? Do you have a bus, or how do you do transportation?
Yes, so we are currently working on our transportation proposal, but our plan is to load our kids up in a bus, take them to Jester Park. We've already partnered with Polk County Conservation. We just confirmed everything just this morning that all 4 of our sites for 2022 will load up on a bus and spend 1 day at the Jester Park Nature Center doing various activities set up by our environmental education supervisor, Joel Van Rokel.
Joel, I'm sorry, for Joel's background, would you just share, Amar, what happened at Evelyn K. Davis last year to give them a perspective when you took kids just from Evelyn K. Davis Park to Ashworth Pool?
Oh, absolutely. So, and I touched on this the other day, but the kids that in our program, they don't get to see other parts of the city. Last year at Evelyn Davis, we took our kids to Ashworth Pool. We might as well have took them to out of state or to a different country because they had never been to that part of the city. We were challenged by Director Page, actually, my very first day on the job, to use every amenity the city has at its disposal to provide the highest quality programming. Ashworth Pool, all of our pools in the city. Blank Golf Course, Blank Mini Golf. We had our kids playing mini golf at Blank Park, Grays Lake. Just everything that we have to offer, we've given our children. And it's a no-brainer because we are the recreation department and we get to use it at no cost, which is a wonderful part of our program that we're able to touch all different parts of the city, all different parts of recreation to provide these programs for our children, because otherwise they wouldn't do it. And it's heartbreaking to know that a 9-year-old kid in the city has never been to Ashworth Pool. A 9-year-old kid in the city has never, from the Evelyn Davis area, has never been to Teach Out Aquatic Center or Nahas Aquatic Center, or really just Papa John's Sculpture Park, just seeing all the city has to offer. And that's what we're doing. We're giving them the opportunity to see everything our city has to offer and more.
What age range?
So our age range, we will take kids 6 all the way up to 17. The most we get is probably 6 to about 13 years old. That's the main core of kids that we get in our program. Okay. However, we are exploring ways to reach out to some of the gaps that we may have, some of the gaps that we may miss. We do understand that we do a great job with kids 6 to about 13. We are exploring ways through pop-up programming, through other equitable service programming to reach out to some of the other age groups that we may miss, just so we know that we are covering all our bases when we start talking about programming for youth. Yes.
So, first of all, what he's doing is really hard. I ran a school, I did for years. I was at Moulton for lots of years.
Okay.
You get a lot of kids from
Oh, absolutely.
I appreciate what you're saying. I had kids that I would take places and like, they didn't even know they existed. And it was 5 miles from where they lived. So
Right.
I really like kudos to this program. But it's complicated, right? Because you're entertaining kids all day long. But I guess one of the things that come to mind is that you're taking the poorest kids and the most vulnerable kids. How can we embed literacy in this part? You've got them 5 days a week. The research will show if they can touch some sort of literacy, you got a big span, right? How do you get those school kids motivated versus
Right.
your 6-year-olds?
Right. So-
And to make it happen every day, because you can say, we're home and read, you're not home and read, right? And so, but if they think it's the cool kid in town reading,
Right.
like you or somebody else, they might be more motivated to read. Going to the library, having a library lady one day a week, not enough.
Right. So
That's not what research says.
one of our biggest, the things that makes me smile the most is at Evelyn Davis Park, we were right next to Forest Avenue Library. And our partnership with Forest Avenue Library for educational programming was just amazing. The past 3 years, we've had a program at Evelyn Davis Park where the kids can come read, as long as they read, I think there was a read for 15 minutes every day. We put a sticker next to their name on the chart, and if they got 5 stickers, they could get a prize out the prize bin. So we do programs like that. I really haven't dove into our daily programming because I'd have you here all night talking about everything that we do. But we do focus on education as a piece of it. We work with the school district on some of the summer learning tools that the kids need to have, and we try to implement those in our daily programming. We do educational activities. A lot of our programs are the programs that we run. We challenge our staff to come up with programs that will challenge them both educationally and be fun, and really just try and make education fun. And what we see is when the kids are doing things, they don't really know they're having so much fun, and they're having so much fun in such a fun setting, they don't really know they're learning. And by the time they're done and they know it and they picked up the knowledge, they've learned it, and they don't know how they learned it, but they got it.
And
they
I
got
think
it
it's
doing
important too, more to point out that there's also the STEM activities, the Science Center and the zoo. Des Moines Public Schools is one of our partners. At last look, we had 17 nonprofits partnering on this program just at Evelyn K. Davis. And just because of the great attention we have today from the media, even nationally, I just saw a story I forwarded to Marv before we walked up here. Our email is blowing up about how can we partner. So we'll put this out there one more time. Any nonprofit that has a mission to serve that age range of kids in a similar mission to what we're trying to pull off here, we will sit down with you and most likely partner. Just last night, different groups that serve the kids that have no access to food during the day have had coming out of the woodwork wanting to be a part of this. So we're going to do everything, send us your ideas. If we can match it up, we're going to match it up, because this program won't be successful just by the city only.
Right.
So United Way, we collaborate with them already because they have a whole literacy focus.
Yeah.
And just something to think about, maybe they could fund a person that rotated through those parks that could be there, just thinking outside the box.
Oh, absolutely.
Just know you've got to uncapture your audience. Somebody's saying every day, this is cool stuff to do. They're going to go back and they're not going to be as low as where they are if you don't.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Any other questions?
Yeah, I traveled through the areas last summer and stuff, and at the beginning, when kids would say, I'd say, what's going on? Well, the big guy over there. From the big guy over there to Amar, you've got your fingerprint on this, my friend.
Well, thank
And I will tell you, you're doing a great job, fantastic job. And I listened to your presentation, I think it was at 7:30 in the morning, and I admire you.
Well,
What
thank
you're doing for kids, I can tell you're doing it for passion,
I think he
man.
wakes up like this, George. We don't know where he gets the energy, but he's the perfect guy for the job. So.
Yes, I'll tell you what, he's making a name for it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Other questions from the board? I know we don't have anyone from the public in the audience, so we can,
And I would just end by inviting each and every one of you out to see one of our programs in action. Please take the time to come out and check us out this summer. You will be impressed, I promise you.
Lastly, I'll say, just so it's not lost, that this is not the first social equity investment this board and this policy group has made. The $5 youth sports program, I gave a fact at the council workshop the other day, is just the most recent number that's in my head because I saw it was kindergarten basketball. It'd be normal to see 80 to 100 kids in that program in a year that we didn't have that program. And numbers are down a little bit. We saw a huge rebound this session for basketball because of the pandemic last year. People are just, I guess, more ready to be out getting this going again. That number's up to almost 250 kindergartners. And so these things all interweave. And that's the story I tell to the council is that these investments are the future of folks that will sit at this table and be board members and give back to this community. And so it's our job now to create those next leaders. And this is how it's going to start, in my opinion.
Thank you. I appreciate your time.
thank you, Amar. What a great program. I'd like to.
I'll move to receive and file.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, next up is the fee waiver report, and Ben is going to offer that.
Yes, for any new members that haven't been through this, Chapter 74 gives the director the ability to waive fees. You saw that narrative of what qualifies. And so every year, I make a full transparent report to the board to show you what we've waived fees for. It's starting to climb back up. This is probably maybe a quarter of what it used to be, just to give you perspective. So when we do finally get out of the pandemic, expect this to be even bigger. So I would just I'd entertain any questions you have on any of these.
Questions from the board on this year's fee waiver report? Otherwise, I'll entertain. a
Move to
mo-
receive and file.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion passes, or we have received and file. Next, we are going to move on to the report from our director.
If I could have Jenny come up and share the screen for me, or Rebecca. So a late ad, but a good ad. It came out of our Executive Park and Recreation Board meeting. Those that attended got to hear the city manager talk about city council still finalizing their thoughts on budgets, and there's two budgets that they're really working on. They've kind of figured out the operational budget. Now they're working on the project side. We always call it the CIP, Capital Improvement Project. And there's also kind of hanging out there in a similar world that's not normal for us is the ARPA funds. You've all heard of those ARPA funds, the American Recovery Program Act. So I have homework. We usually don't give you homework, and it's got a deadline, so it's kind of like going back to school. I have a real high sense of urgency to have you fill this out before the end of this coming Sunday, and here's why. The city council has a workshop Monday morning, and we just got this information yesterday, otherwise we would have been sending this out to you sooner. The best part of this homework is it's your personal opinion. There is no wrong answers. It'll be shared with the city council, it'll be shared with my administrative staff, because we want to use it ourselves. In fact, we have a little longer time, we're going to get our staff to do this too, to see if we're hitting the mark with our staff. So the first question basically talks about, one of our comp plan goals is trying to fill service gaps. So adding in parks where we don't have gaps today, EMC Park is an example. We didn't have a rural neighborhood park downtown. If you had a hypothetical $100, how much would you commit to filling gaps versus how much do you keep back to keep working on what you already have today? That's the first question. Again, there is no wrong answer. This is your personal opinion. So you might say, I like 80 for existing and 20 for new. There's an example. Okay, we're going to give you another fictional $100 because we don't have real money to give out. So you get $100 here. These are what I would call the service lines. When we give an orientation to a new board member, we talk about there's services and there's accounts that we have for projects. The beauty, once again, no wrong answers. It's your personal opinion here. If you could spend $100, and you might even say, I'll pick on George. We all know George loves spray grounds. George might say, I'm going to give you $99 to spray grounds and you can spend the rest of whatever you want, right? But that's not a wrong answer, is what my point is. So you can go through here. I try to make a little bit of descriptive narrative if it really needed that, and then I'll use the pools, for example. Today we have got pools that are older, so that money wouldn't be building new pools here in this scenario. That would just be fixing up the current pools, okay? So nothing's new. So this is your second question. There'll be an other category down here. We think we captured everything.
Ben, could I ask a question? I still get confused on this. Could you slide that back, Rebecca, where you have parking lots? I mean, as we look at all of our facilities, our parking lots are bad. Now, does that come under your budget or Public Works, or how does that work?
So there's a road use tax that state gives to cities, but if it's a park road, it does not qualify, or a parking lot, unfortunately. So it does fall under our budget. So we would, when I budget and propose budgets to you and the council, I have to put that in there and try to figure out where that $100 lies within my own thoughts after hearing from the neighborhoods and the community and you.
You've explained that before very well, and I'm just wondering, moving forward on that, that's going to be a large chunk of budget moving forward.
Those are expensive endeavors to maintain and replace, especially when it comes to replacement. So, yes. So for this exercise, you got to think about it. Those are all things that are in. And again, just to give you one more example, you don't have to put anything in some accounts. Or you can be very vanilla and say, I'm going to divide these by the $100 and give you the same for everything. But we're going to ask you to put your name on this, not because we're going to share that with the council. it's going to help us track who turned it in. The last question here is the big one. Oh, sorry, there's an other. The way Survey Monkey works, if you put $10 in, you can't put a narrative next to it. It's all going to create a field source, automate and generate us the reports, and we'll share it with you when we get it all done. So if there's an other, if you want to put something out there, you have to not only put the amount, then in box number 3, tell us what you're putting it in if it doesn't already been listed in the choices. That make sense? Okay? And here's the last question. It's really easy. If you hit one of those black up or down arrows, it'll say 1 through 6. And I want to explain these. These are big projects that you've all seen if you've been on the board recently. If not, they are on our website. And so this will help the council. This is probably one they'll use to help with the ARPA funds, right? The one-time infusion of this $90 million that they're talking about. You're one of literally 100 groups trying to get this money, right? So I want to be real clear on one of the narratives here, actually a couple. I think the first 3 are very self-explanatory. The Grays Lake Master Plan would include that stormwater wetland that's on the backside between Confluence Brewery and the park. That's all built into that master plan that you approved. Water trails, I put the city dollars are just unknown. Here's why. Today, the council's already approved $6 million for the first phase. There's a lot of success with that moving on. There's future phases that are going to come right down the path yet this spring. I'm confident this group's going to come back to the city and say, hey, you know, next phase, we're going to want more money. So don't worry about the money so much there, but it's a big project. We want to include it in there for you to understand where you'd rank that. So pools, this is the last one I'll really explain to you, is for now, don't worry about if you're upgrading or removing, just worry about the amount. It would take either way, if we're going to fix the 5 pool/aquatic centers and do more modernization, replace equipment like mechanicals, electric, pumps, it's still going to cost in that vicinity. There's also an option that says, you could also get rid of 5 pools. We've looked at this before in the past, and you could build 2 to 3 brand new state-of-the-art pools for that same amount. This is not committing you to tear down the pools. It's just giving us an idea as, should we start thinking more about our pools being a higher priority? That's what we're trying to figure out here. Does that help? Is there any questions with this?
I'm curious about the second part. Can you give us a little help on what you regard as?
You know, I thought about that, but I didn't want to bias you. Let's just first go do that, then I'll go through and share with you at the next board meeting. How about that?
Okay.
Fair enough?
Fair enough.
And so, again, there's no wrong answers. The council's not going to go out there and on their budget meeting and say, Deb Chido said that we have to do this, right? They're not going to pick on anybody, but they have asked for your opinion via the city manager. That's a good thing. Sorry for the short turnaround. We just got this recently, and we waited for the city manager to give us some clarity on some of these bigger projects. And so I'll have to turn something in first thing Monday morning. So I'm hoping the sooner the better you can get to it, but no later than Sunday. So tomorrow, Rebecca will email you a link. It should be really easy.
And one other thing, and I don't know how to incorporate this in, if it can maybe be emailed, but maybe one of our more recent surveys, public surveys, I think it's
Oh, the citizen satisfaction
citizens.
surveys?
Yeah, just to see what.
Yeah,
some
there's a
of
link to
this-
that. We'll find that
You
tomorrow.
can share that. That might be
Yep.
helpful to see what others are.
Yep, we'll send that link, Rebecca, and maybe a link just to the planning section of the website, so you don't have to go look for that planning section, because these bigger plans that have already been adopted are there. You can kind of peruse through them.
Thank you. Any other questions for Ben?
Are we somewhat committed to the principal park? I mean, I know we can pick whatever we want, but
You-
either we're going to have baseball or we're.
Yeah, so I think the council's trying to, I know what they're trying to do is, in their world, this is maybe a quarter of the pie of projects. They have an airport terminal project that's really big. They have a lot of different things coming to them, right? So they possibly could say no, depending on what they see as priorities, but again, it's all about data collection and tools for their tool bag.
All right, any other questions? Ben, do you have anything else in your
As
report
long as you guys are
today?
understanding what the exercise is.
We'll watch for that.
Thank you, much appreciated.
We do not. We just need to move on to our report for our committees before we adjourn today. So, do we have an update, Brooke, from Urban Conservation?
We have not had a meeting. Our next meeting is scheduled for March.
Okay, so we'll ask you in March or April. Okay. Excellent. The Golf Advisory Committee, Sam or Cindy, any updates? Do you guys don't meet for a little while?
Our next meeting is the end of next month.
Next month? Okay, sounds good. Joel, anything from cemetery?
We met December 8th. Our next meeting will be February 2nd. At the December 8th meeting, we wrapped up the Wreaths Across America of Islamic centers, looking to do some updates and renewal for their areas. We approved all the meeting dates, and then we went to Louis.
And who doesn't want to join the cemetery committee? I mean, that's awesome. Thanks, Joel. Any updates from our trails and greenways? Jim, Sarah?
We were scheduled to meet in December, and we tried to meet, but we were not able to assemble a quorum, so we had an informal meeting. We reviewed the signage for the trails that's out there, and if people are not aware, it's currently on the Carl Voss Trail, so if you haven't seen it, you can go there and see what we're doing. And just this week, it came out that we're voting by email on approving a letter for a grant recommendation. So our next meeting will be February.
Excellent. Thank you. Just really good to see everyone in 2022. I'm glad to be back. And if there isn't any other business to come
I'll move
before
to
the
adjourn.
board. Excellent. We are adjourned.